don't just give up. Just find something, put everything into it, enjoy it. And I think that's the whole meaning of being alive, really.
We're here today with Callum Hinze, from aspiring AFL player to IFBB Pro Bodybuilder. Your first show at 21 years old, and in April 2022 this year, you won your first IFBB Pro Card in Classic Physique at the age of only 24 years old. It's an amazing accomplishment, and I feel really fortunate to actually be able to train with you. Met you at Doherty's gym, which is
on the shirt and everything.
Right there, your massive chest. One of the things that really struck me was you're just so chill.
I guess that's sort of rare. Rare with bodybuilders and people in the gym, I guess, hey? But yeah, that's the way I am, I guess. Makes things work for me, so.
Just training at the gym and went up to you and just really impressed by the way you train, your physique, and asked you a couple of questions, and you were so kind and generous to me.
I try to be. I think it's weird because a lot of bodybuilders at first glance, I think, are a bit intimidating. I get told all the time, people are like, oh, he's probably a bit scary. I don't know if I want to approach him, but it's not like I was a bodybuilder forever. And when I was younger, I was, I guess, a more chill person. And there's no reason to change with it. But yeah, I guess it's a bit of a stereotype, like a gym environment. But you're there for fun at the end of the day, aren't you?
What's the funniest comparison you've gotten?
Funniest comparison? I don't know. I guess people who compared me to someone the other day. I got someone, like, not funny, but I always every now and then get like a nice comparison. Like someone would compare me to like Steve Reeves, who's like a classic bodybuilder from way back in the day. I reminded him of like a larger version of him, and I was like, oh, sick. That's a nice compliment. But yeah, other than that, it's just bodybuilding talk, comparing physiques and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's awesome.
What were you cooking yesterday?
Beef, eggs, rice, chicken, the basic stuff. I was cooking my dinner meal up, which is just very basic stuff in high quantities.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent.
Yeah. Did I send you that? Did I?
Yeah, you're looking at something that you sent me.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I get quite curious, and sometimes I text you and ask about your what you eat. You replied back,
just copy and paste.
Basically, this is what you eat 6 times a day.
Yep.
Jasmine rice, frozen peas, whole eggs, from turkey to ground beef to spinach, and then there's lots and lots and lots of chicken breast. I don't see any broccoli. Am I missing something there?
No broccoli in there. You know, it's rare. It's like a bodybuilding staple, isn't it? But yeah, I think, what have I got?
You might get bigger with some broccoli.
Maybe that's the secret to even more size.
And no protein shakes.
Nah, no protein shakes for me. That's just sort of the method my coach has gone with at the moment, and I just sort of I trust in what he does. But at the end of the day, we've spoken about it before. The most important thing is that you're hitting your macronutrients, obviously getting the right number of protein, carbs, fats you need for whatever your goals are, and then obviously making sure your micronutrient requirements are met as well, to make sure everything's digesting well and being absorbed right, and you're getting all the nutrients you need. I find that works well for me. So it's if you're looking at it there, like we said, it's very basic stuff. It's just meats and rice and basic stuff. But yeah, it works, and I like my routine. I'll just follow it, stick to it, make the most of it.
I want to ask you a question that you've asked me.
Okay.
List any foods you dislike or can't have.
List any foods I dislike? I don't know. What don't I like? It's very rare that I eat anything outside of that meal plan. So foods I don't like. What don't I like? It's weird. It's funny because a lot of the stuff on that plan as a kid I didn't like. I used to hate eggs as a kid. And I just sort of taught myself to like it.
Really?
I used to hate berries. I taught myself to like it. I used to hate green peas. I taught myself to have that every day. A lot of things.
No Brussels sprouts?
Nah, not in there, but I used to hate that as a kid. Yeah. But I love it now. But
where's fish? I don't see fish.
Post-workout.
Okay.
It's hidden along there. I don't have a lot of food I dislike. But it's I think
you eat with purpose.
That's I think I've sort of taught myself to eat for the sake of getting results out of it instead of just enjoying it. But yeah, it's a very basic meal plan, but
favorite foods?
Favorite foods? What do I enjoy? I don't know. So the way I structure stuff, I have a meal plan that I stick to every day. And then when I'm in a growing phase, I allow myself one plan off meal per week. So we'll normally go out for a meal, me and my partner.
What phase are you in right now?
I'm in a growing stage now. So I do have like a free meal every 1 or 2 weeks, and I enjoy pasta. I think my favorite's a big bowl of carbonara. it's just, I don't know, satiating. But I'm at the point now, my calories are very high. I don't really crave anything. I just stick to my stuff. I just have what I need to have.
Yeah.
I think when you're hungrier and your food's lower, as where you're at probably now, you probably likely naturally just crave stuff more. But now I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not hungry. I'll just eat what I need to eat to shovel it down. Then I'm happy.
I think it's a tolerance, how much you can tolerate. And
yeah,
I'm kind of used to it. I
Yeah.
don't really crave as much as I
is good.
did when I ate more. Yeah.
it's a routine thing too. Once you've established your routine and you sort of be like, all right, this is my routine. This is what I got to stick to. This is like the non-negotiable or what I have to do. You sort of get less emotionally attached to food and other variables of things that you might not normally enjoy, and you just do it, I guess. Takes the emotion out of it and you just do stuff. I think if you overthink stuff, get attached to things too much, that's when you start to question what you're doing a little bit more, I think.
This I find really interesting. I've noticed you've mentioned about being almost unemotional. Where did you learn this from?
I don't know. I think it's one of the things that's evolved over time. I think when I first started training, there was times, I guess if we relate it back to food, where I'd sort of be like, oh, I'd like to have that. And I'd have it, and then sometimes it'd be off plan, and I'd sort of feel bad and be like, oh, I kind of want to stick to my goals. And then I think the more time went on, the more disciplined I got, the more I realized, all right, let's just make a plan, understand that this plan is going to serve my purpose for my goals. And then I think once you realize that what you're doing is for the greater good of what you want to achieve, it's a lot easier just to separate emotion from it. I think if you can block out emotion and just sort of do what's required and just remind yourself, this is why I'm doing this, that's enough motivation to not really overthink things to a point where, I guess you're sort of overthinking things and starting to get, like an emotional attachment to things. I think it's hard. It's a hard thing to sort of explain, but yeah.
Could you talk us through your daily schedule?
My daily schedule.
From
so
Monday to Sunday.
Okay. So most days are pretty similar. I wake up. First thing I do when I get up is make my first meal, which is just, again, beef, eggs, rice, all that sort of stuff.
What time do you wake up?
These days, since living in Melbourne, I wake up at like 7 because the sun's up so late.
That's so late, man.
Yeah, I used to wake up at 4 a.m. back on the coast when I lived
You
up in
told me
Queensland.
the other day you wake up at 4. Now you're saying
I used
7.
to. In Queensland, I woke up at 4 because it was like a whole different lifestyle.
Okay,
If I wake
so you're
up at
taking
4
it easy
here,
now.
Yeah, I've shifted everything back a bit to suit the time here because it's weird. Like I remember when I first moved here from the coast, I'd go for walks in the morning at like 5 a.m. And it felt like it was midnight. I was like, what the hell? There's nothing to do. But now I sort of wake up around the time the sun's coming up just so I feel.
So every day, 7 a.m.
Yep, 7 a.m. Sometimes on a Sunday, I'll give myself an extra half hour. But yeah, 7 a.m. wake up, make my first meal. Then I'll normally just sort of respond to a few client messages and all that sort of stuff. Just little, I guess, questions that clients might have. Then what do? Then I probably freshen up, sort of get ready for the day, just basic sort of showering, all that sort of stuff. And then I'll sort of sit down at the laptop and jump into client check-ins. So I obviously get, how it works. Clients send me through their updates for the week. So I go through update programs, nutrition, answer questions, make adjustments to
What time would it be by now?
That's probably from like 8 o'clock till about 11 o'clock most days.
Yeah. Have you eaten?
That's one meal's been down, yeah. And then I'll do that for the morning. Then I'll have another meal, and then I'll go to the gym. And then I'm normally at the gym from, say, 11 till 2-ish. And then after that, I'm usually back home, more food, another meal. And then it's back to the laptop for a few hours, just doing, I guess, client work, check-ins, all that sort of stuff, programming. And then afternoons.
What time are you home?
Normally 3-ish most days. And then after that, bit of work. And then after work, I'll normally try and just wind down for a little bit and switch it off. Or I'll go to sleep thinking about work all day. And then, to switch off, I'll normally just sit down, either chuck some music on and have my last meal or whatever for the day, and then just try and wind down and, go to sleep. So it's pretty routine. It's like Monday to Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, I try and stay away from the laptop and just sort of go out and walk around the city and get outside a bit. So it's very, very routine. But we've spoken about before, I find like if you've got a goal, especially like, I guess, bodybuilding-based stuff, if you have a good routine to stick to, it's going to make a big difference because you just get into the routine of it, do what you need to do. It just happens naturally.
How long have you been a personal trainer?
I started as a PT in a gym, I think I was 19. So that would have been end of 2017. No, end of 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I only have like a couple of clients that I train. You're one of them. And only a handful of others. Yeah, a handful of other clients that I train. Most of my work's online nowadays. So it's just programming with people from all over Australia. I've got a few overseas, I think, as well. So it's more structure coaching based instead of one-on-one work now, which allows me to work with more people at once.
Over the years, working with your clients, what you've learnt, what you've known from them, how much do you think routine could help them?
Massively. I think routine is the answer to the majority of people's goals, at least. Like if you've got a routine that involves all the things necessary to get to your whatever your goal is, as long as you stick to it, it's going to come in time. Yeah. It's just about making a routine that's suitable and then sticking to it.
But when life happens, it's so hard to stick to the routine.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing too. And I think that's sometimes where I guess sometimes it's a little bit tricky for clients to relate to different degrees of, I guess, prioritizing different goals. Yeah. Like for someone who just wants to lose a bit of weight, it's very easy to prioritize other things over losing a bit of weight because it's not like your whole life. So something might pop up, easy to pop out of routine. It's understandable because you've got different things that fall higher on like your priority list. For myself, being like a professional bodybuilder now, like it's sort of top of my priority list. So that comes first.
Yeah, it's who you are.
Yeah, it's what I do. Like that's where all my energy goes. So my priority list is bodybuilding. Everything that's required to do that comes first. Anything else comes after. So nothing can sort of mess with it.
Yeah.
But it's obviously not going to be the case for 99% of people because 99% of people have other things that are going to be on the top of their priority list. So there's different things that you got to sort of, I guess, assign what priorities matter the most to you and then try and plan around that. So
I find that you're really understanding with people.
Yeah, well, everyone's different.
And you say that the best plan is the one that you can stick to.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you say that you don't force anyone to follow a certain plan. You allow people to live their life, and you're just so cool about it.
Yeah, and it's the thing. I think if I forced people to sort of go about things the way I go about them, it wouldn't work because majority of my clients aren't bodybuilders, or if they are, they're sort of amateur bodybuilders who are sort of doing it as a fun thing. I have some people who are really serious about it as well, but majority of people sort of do it they do it for fun and they enjoy it and they put a lot of energy into it, but they have other things that they want to prioritize, which is 100% fine. It's just about finding the right balance of, I guess, work and things that are going to work towards your goals with other things that you prioritize, which might be, I don't know, family, like leisure time, all that sort of stuff, or whatever else you've got on in your life. So that's why I think it's important when you're, making a plan or making a routine that you make sure it fits into the balance of what you prioritize in your life, really.
Yeah.
Because again, if I expected you to do exactly what I do, obviously you got a lot of things going on. Your career, you've got obviously podcasts that you're doing, you've got obviously the writing and the film work you're doing as well. If you tried to, I guess, mix that in with other priorities to a massive degree, it'd be a lot harder than myself because I've sort of put one thing on top. So just balancing everything out, and everyone's balance. No one's going to have the exact same balance. So it's just finding what's right. And then if you stick to that, it's better than having a routine that fluctuates and you're doing it for a week and then you sort of go off the rails. It's just about sustainability. Yeah.
Something that's hindered me in making me progress in my goals, let's say bodybuilding, is kind of the attitude of wanting to reach something or get something fast.
Yeah.
I started training properly like first year of uni. Yeah, 18 actually. It's all about consistency.
Exactly.
You know, you watch videos and then it's so exciting to think that I could look like this guy or I could be so jacked.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go hard, but the reality is going to kick in at some point. And you might not be able to sustain it, or I've often lose steam, you know, and then I try and get back into it, and then I don't lift as much as I did before, and then you feel down, demotivated, and then what might happen is you stop going to the gym, and a few months go past, and then when you go back into the gym, you're kind of you start off as though you never even trained before. And
it messes with your head a bit sometimes for people too. Yeah.
And then you go again and then you stop and go again and stop. The more I look at it, you look at people who are at the top of their game, for example, yourself, and what just seems so clear is everyone, they've just gone so slow and steady, consistent.
Yeah.
And the fuel for it is for the love of simply doing the act of lifting the weight or going to the gym. more for like the external goal of looking shredded and having people, adore you for your physique. And that can be applied for many areas in life.
100%. That's why I think, again, what we talked about before, it's really important to have a way of going about things that's going to be sustainable. Because if you sort of try and go balls to the wall straight away, you'll, like you said, probably sustain it for a little bit, and then something will happen and you'll sort of drop off and have to start from scratch, which is really demotivating sometimes for people. But if you find a balance that may not be like putting everything into it, but if you can sustain like a 60% work ethic for a longer amount of time, in a 10-year period, if you sort of stick to that rate, you're probably going to make more progress than if you sort of went all out and then stopped and then went back into it again and then all that sort of bounced around with it. So again, it's just finding your balance and making sure it sticks to you. But I can definitely understand why. Like it's very common because it's human nature to want things fast. So a lot of time people will almost bite off more than they can chew at first, trying to get to their goal faster. And then obviously when things happen, it throws you off and it's just, fluctuating. So finding like whatever rate you can work at. You could work at 100% work rate. You could work at like a 2% work rate. Whatever it is that you can stick to, as long as you can stick to it, is going to be better than fluctuating up and down over time, I think. So, But again, it's just one of those things, again, everyone's different. Whatever works best for your lifestyle and your routine and your mindset, that's what works. There's no right or wrong.
Have you ever met someone who is completely satisfied with their body?
Nah, I don't think so. I think even if you asked like Mr. Olympia, he wouldn't be satisfied because there's always more.
Who's Mr. Olympia right now?
Current Mr. Olympia is Big Ramy in the open category, and then the classic physique category is Chris Bumstead, and they're like two people that Chris
Bumstead should watch out for you.
He's a man. Yeah, he's a man. But 90% of people, one day, that's the goal. But got work to do now. But most people look up to these guys.
Do you think Chris Seabum, do you think he isn't fully satisfied with
I
where he's
wouldn't
at?
think so. I wouldn't think so. That's what I was going to say. Like most people look up to him and think that's what they want to look like.
Pinnacle.
But if you got to him, I'm sure mentally he'd be like, oh, this could be better, this could be better. And it's not something that I guess most people would pinpoint. But in his own mind, I'm sure it's just human nature. Like there's always more you can achieve, and that's true. And I think if you are fully satisfied with where you're at, where's your motivation going to be to get better? You're just going to sort of stagnate or, I guess, become complacent and just slack off. So having areas to work on is like, I think, always a massive thing.
We're always going to be our harshest critic, particularly with our own bodies. What advice would you have for someone out there who would like to just lose a bit of weight and have struggled for a few years?
Yeah. I think first thing is not to compare yourself to anyone, because as soon as you jump on social media, as most people do, and compare themselves to Mr. Olympia or just some random guy who looks good in the gym, so a lot of time people will be like, oh, why don't I look like that? What have I done wrong? But I think the most important thing is to look at where you're at now, think about what your goals are, make a plan to what will get you to your goals. And then if you can stick to that, compare yourself to where you were at your starting point. So in a month's time after working hard, compare yourself to 4 weeks ago. And like, if you look at how far you've come and you've done the work, you're going to see progress. And that's like the motivation I think you need to keep getting better, instead of always looking at someone else who's got a completely different life circumstance and be like, oh, I wish I could be like that, because you're your own person. I think look at your own progress, sort of be proud of where you've come from, and then obviously make a plan as to how you can like sustain that and keep moving forward, I think is the main thing. But yeah, self-comparison to other people is like the worst ever.
What's a couple of principles for losing weight?
Well, in simple terms, all you need to be doing is eating in a deficit, as you know as well. So eating less calories than your body requires to maintain its current weight. So you can obviously create a deficit by eating less food or expending more energy. So more exercise, more cardio, more training in the gym.
As simple as that?
That's, I guess, in very simple terms. So to make it confusing, if you're in a deficit, too far of a deficit, you're not going to function too well for too long and not going to be able to sustain it. And if you don't have the balance right, again, it's not always going to work. But simple terms, if you want to lose weight, eat in a slight deficit, exercise, be active, and try and track your results so that you can, I guess, see where the changes are being made and then make adjustments when you need to.
What does it take to grow muscle?
To grow muscle, so that's the opposite. We want to be in a surplus, so body needs this amount of calories to maintain current weight. We want to be eating in a few hundred calorie surplus above that, and then obviously lifting weights to make sure that we're creating the stimulus that the muscle needs to grow. So like what we've done. Well, you're in a cutting phase now, but the training methods are fairly similar. Like hypertrophy training, we're trying to like obviously stress out the muscle, sort of break down the muscle in a way that forces the body to rebuild, get stronger, get bigger. And then you do that obviously by eating the right nutrients. So simple terms, eat more, lift heavy, lift smart, and recover well. And that's how you grow.
How do you gain fat?
How do you gain fat?
It's also calorie surplus.
Yeah, well, if your calorie surplus is too far over what's necessary, which a lot of people do as well. A lot of people go to the gym and train and lift weights well. They'll eat in a surplus, but they're eating way more than their body needs. They're going to put on body fat too. And yeah, you'll probably grow muscle with it if you're training right, but you don't always need all those nutrients. So if you're eating way too far above, that's where the rest of those calories are stored as body fat. Or yeah, if you're eating more than you need to and you're not training, obviously you're just going to store pure body fat as well.
All of this information, could you just simply search on Google and find the answers?
Yeah, definitely. The hard thing is there's so many theories out there, and there's so many like crazy, like you'll see all the weird diets and stuff out there and weird theories, and a lot of it's like almost like marketing, people trying to stand out a little bit, but that sort of confuses people. So if you dig deep in your research, you're going to find out the answers you need. But at first glance, if you search, how do I lose weight? There's probably going to be a lot of like, I guess, overwhelming ideas that can confuse people. And that's why not everyone knows sort of how to lose weight, because there's so many weird ideas out there that can sort of throw people off.
Yeah.
It's simple sort of principles that a lot of people put a spin on to try and make things seem more exciting, which is where the confusion comes, I think.
Simple is best sometimes.
Definitely. I think so. I think so as well. Simple approach, be consistent, just track, and just, I find the less variables with things, the better, because you can just track all the little responses.
How helpful is a coach?
Coach is awesome. Well, I've got a coach myself, and then I'm obviously coaching.
So even you need a coach?
Yeah, definitely. I think something that we've spoken about, or we spoke about before as well, is like becoming emotionally attached to things. Like you can sort of overthink in your mind and over criticize where you're at. Yeah. Sometimes having a coach, they can give you the feedback you need unemotionally. So for example, sometimes in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, I'm feeling a bit flat today. Maybe my calories should be higher. And that can sort of come, I could maybe think that just because it's just the way humans are, they sort of over criticize themselves. But if I have a coach looking at me being like, all right, I'm going to assess all these little variables. You need this or you don't need this. They're doing it in like an unemotional, a non-emotional, is that a word? Unemotional, whatever the word is.
Unemotional?
Unemotional. If that's
maybe, I don't know.
Whatever
we'll go with that.
An unemotional way, they're giving you facts of what needs to be done, because they're obviously not in your head giving you all these ideas. So I think for myself, the biggest benefit of a coach is having someone to look at you and tell you what needs to be done without you second guessing yourself, and also having someone who's got more knowledge and experience than myself. And then for me, being a coach for other people like yourself, similar idea. It's just having a third eye to sort of give you feedback you need, guide you in the right direction. And then for certain people who may be newer, well, everyone can always learn more, but depending on what level of how advanced you are, there's always things to learn, and to different degrees as well. So a bit of education from coaching is good as well.
Some of the advice you've shared with me, I've honestly heard before. Yeah. And I may have tried or half-assed it. And then I think about it actually, you know, it really works for you. Say, following a routine, or removing options from your lifestyle. Yeah. Only doing things that serve your goal. Waking up at a certain time, sleeping at a certain time. And because I'm hearing this from you, then I'm like, okay, I gotta take it seriously and do it. Just do it. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just giving out like the facts that I guess people have known for a long time. But to hear it from you, has a lot more weight. The way of, I guess, getting a message across, different people resonate to different things well. So it's important to find, again, a way to work best with every individual and be sort of flexible with it. Yeah. But yeah, again, I think a lot of people I work with in a way want to build muscle. And what I do is build muscle as like at a professional level. So I think it's sort of believable because I've done it for myself, so people can do it to whatever degree of, I guess, whatever extent they want to do it at. It's the same principles. So yeah. How about being realistic with how much you can grow? Yeah, I guess it all comes down again to how much you're going to put in. Like if your goals are to be Mr. Olympia, you have to put in a lot of work. If your goal is to put on a few kilos of muscle, as long as you realize that your goals are going to require a certain amount of work, you should sort of, I guess, expect what's coming, if that makes sense.
So if you're going to put in 50% effort, you can probably expect 50% results. If you're going to put in 100% effort, you can probably expect double the amount of results if you're doing half the work. So I think being honest with yourself as to how much work you're willing to put in, that's going to sort of provide you with roughly what to expect in what your results are going to look like.
Sometimes you don't even know what you're capable of or how much effort you can put in until you're in that environment with other people at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone's got their own ways about it. Like you can put in effort in a physical manner but not be smart about it. Some people might be overly book smart but not be putting in the physical intensity as much as well. So and there's no right or wrong either. It's just about finding, again, what works best. So there's so many different ways to do things. That's the most important thing purely is using the basic fundamentals of the facts and finding a variation and a way around it that fits every individual, I think.
What's the most common struggle with your clients that you've observed?
Most common struggle? I think when I first started training people, a lot of my clients were, I guess, more general population clients. So just people who wanted to lose a bit of weight and sort of took stuff a little bit easier. And the main thing was just adherence, because a lot of people wouldn't stick to the plan because, I guess, like I said, their priorities were different, which is fine. I think the deeper I get into coaching people, the more clients I come across who are more dedicated. I think that's just the way things evolve. So nowadays, majority of my clients are relatively adherent. The most, again, I try to be honest with clients and let them know that whatever work they're putting in, that's what the results they can expect. So I'll give them a plan, follow this. You do as much of this as much as you want to do. Just know that however much you put into it is how much you're going to get out of it. So, I think adherence is a big thing, but being honest and explaining to clients what level they're going to get out of their level of work ethic is what to expect. What else do people struggle with? Yeah, there's a lot of little things, but again, everyone's so different. Everyone's got little things that they struggle with, so it's very diverse, which keeps it interesting.
How diverse are your clients?
Nowadays, personality-wise, everyone's very diverse. But
age range, gender.
Majority of my clients now, I sort of look at it as similar to myself when I was first getting into the gym. Majority of my guys, not age-wise, but sort of experience level. Yeah. I'd say probably 70% of my clients are young guys within the ages of like 18 to maybe mid-20s who are a few years into training and they're sort of looking to take things a little bit more seriously than just their first sort of few years of just doing basic stuff in the gym. Then I've got obviously older clients as well, but they're sort of within that stage where they've been training for a little bit, but they want a bit more guidance and a bit more, they want to take things a bit more seriously. And then I've got obviously other clients who outside of that sort of bracket, but that's where the majority of my clients sit. So demographic wise, relatively similar, but as you know, everyone's very different in the way they approach stuff. So although people's goals might be relatively similar, there's very different ways to communicate and I guess educate and plan and program around everyone. So yeah, everyone's personality is different. So it's just finding the best fit.
What's the best advice you've received from your coach?
I think if I look at the coaches I'm with, the coach I'm with now and coaches I've been with recently, most of it's just structure based. But if I look back at previous coaches who taught me more when I was first getting into things, I think the biggest thing that my first ever coach sort of implemented was get in and give it a crack. Like for my first ever show, I was sort of not sure if I wanted to do it or if I was ready yet. His advice was do the show. And I think that's the best advice is just to get in, give it a crack, and give it a try because you're never going to know if you wait too long or procrastinate. So yeah, when I was earlier on, I had a coach who I knew from the gym, and he sort of approached me and was like, I think I'd been talking about competing, and he approached me and said, hey, you should do this show now. I'll coach you. I'll do it for free.
You were 19?
2019, I think it was. And he's like, yeah, do the show. You've been talking about it. Let's do it. I'll coach you. I think you have potential, so I'll help you out. I'll do it for free. And I was like, okay, sick. And yeah, his biggest sort of idea he implemented in me was just to go and give it a try or you're going to spend your life waiting around for it to happen. And that's probably been a very simple thing, but that's something that I think I always remember. Like if you're not sure, just do it anyway and you'll find out.
Yeah. How much of a difference do you think competing has made to your body?
To my body physically?
Yeah.
Well, massive difference. I guess when you're competing, you're pushing yourself to get to like a very low body fat percentage, which no one would really sort of aspire to have if you weren't competing. So in terms of condition, I've sort of gotten into a better shape, condition body fat wise than I would have without it. And then obviously when you're in a growing season for a show, you're growing probably more than a lot of people would just in the gym naturally anyway as well. So it's the goal of competing's made my physique obviously become far more than what it could have been if I didn't take it seriously. I think mentally though, the whole process of bodybuilding is like the biggest thing. Like if you have a massive goal, like to winning big shows, I think the effect it has on your mind and the lessons it teaches you is probably the biggest impact it's had on me in terms of what you get out of putting in work to things, what you get out of being consistent. You learn a lot about yourself in terms of what your work ethic's like. You learn a lot about, I guess, having self-belief in yourself. So I think mentally is what I've gained most. Mental lessons are what I've gained most from competing.
How do you take care of your mental health?
I don't have any methods, I guess, to take care of mental health. I guess I don't do anything, I guess, directly to care for mental health. But I think I'm lucky enough that the process of being active and working out does have a positive effect on mental health. I think as well, like we said, I'm very like routine orientated, and I like having my set routine and just doing things without second guessing it. Yeah. I think that's a good way to keep yourself, I guess, feeling good about yourself in a way too, because you're always making progress. So,
do you ever get stressed?
Yeah. Sometimes I find I get overwhelmed.
You're so calm.
Sometimes. Yeah, not. I wouldn't say I get stressed, but every now and then, like everyone, I get a little bit overwhelmed by things. Sometimes if I have a massive mountain of work to do, I'll sort of look at it and be like, oh shit, where do I start? And it's not really anything to be super stressed about, but you know how it is. Sometimes you get in a mood and you're like, oh, I don't know where to start. This is stressful, and then little things sort of pile up and make you feel stressed.
Yeah. So
I think my biggest thing is I get stressed. Yeah, just sometimes when I've got a lot of things to do and I don't know where to start. But like the lesson I told you before, you just got to get into it. Get in and start. Once you get momentum and routine going through it, you're sweet. Yeah, do
you ever get blocks where you wake up one day and like, oh God, I got to cook and prepare this and I got 6 meals to eat for the day. I'm overwhelmed.
Sometimes I look at it that way. And again, that's where routine comes in. Have a routine. Don't think about it, do it. And then
don't think about it.
But there are days where emotionally you'll be more motivated than others. But that's exactly why discipline and routine is so important, because on days that you're feeling motivated, you do it. On days you're not feeling motivated, you still got that routine in there, so you know you're going to do it because it's just habit. So because
routine, people could look at that and say, that's so predictable and boring. Yeah. And I want more spontaneity in my life. Yeah. I don't want to be doing the same thing, eating the same thing, and doing the same thing every single hour of the day. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's 100% understandable for 99% of people.
I thought you were going to say that's BS.
No. I definitely understand it, because everyone naturally wants some excitement and stuff to be different in their life. But and again, it's not that my life is the exact same every day, but there's certain things that I keep controllably the same every day, and then outside of those things, I have room to be flexible with other activities or whatever I do.
Yeah.
But
so funny enough, it kind of frees you up, gives you more freedom.
A little bit in a way. Yeah. There's some things like obviously gym related and bodybuilding related stuff is very rigid, but it doesn't mean that I can't do other things outside of that don't relate to eating and training and stuff. Like there's other things that there's freedom to do a lot of things. So yeah, it's just a matter of balance. Find the balance of things that need to be consistent, and then find a balance of things that you have freedom to fluctuate and change with and keep things exciting.
Being present in what you're doing, moment by moment.
Yeah, definitely. And that comes down
to, do you do that with your reps?
100%.
That's probably your meditation.
It is. I love, there's some days your motivation is lower to train, but 99% of the time when I'm feeling good, I love training. I look forward to it. It's my favorite part of the day. When I'm doing it, it's very important to be present, because if you're thinking too much about, I just want this workout to be over, you're not going to perform your best, you're not going to enjoy it, and that's a lot of time when people fall off. So being present with what you're doing is awesome. I'm sure you've heard of, have you read the book Power of Now?
Power of Now, yes.
I read that. That was the biggest thing ever. I read that start of this year.
Wow.
And that, because I know he has Power Now, and there's like a bunch of other sort of smaller ones.
The New Earth?
The New Earth. There was a few other smaller ones that were sort of like just diving into more smaller little principles of it.
I'm actually quite surprised you're talking about
that's been the best thing I've ever read. Morgan bought it for me for Christmas, because I was going through like a little bit of a stressful time before Christmas.
Morgan Aldred, your partner?
Yeah. She bought it for me, and that was probably the best gift ever, because it changed my whole mindset. And I remember reading that, right after Christmas, because it was a Christmas present, and then read it into the start of the year. And just, you know how it works. It's all about being present, being in the moment, like we spoke about. It's about obviously it's like, just about being very in the moment on a spiritual level.
Yes.
And to me, that resonated with me so much. And it helped, especially because I was at the start of my prep for shows earlier this year, helped me get in the right mindset, helped me sort of enjoy what I'm doing more, helped me, I guess, be aware of myself.
Do you talk to yourself?
I like to remind myself of certain things that I'll sort of repeat in my mind. And there's a lot of things, like little quotes out of books I read and stuff that I'll repeat just as a reminder of, keep, for example, in this book, keeping present in the moment. There was one part at the start of the book where he was speaking about just obviously presence and being in the now. And he's like, past and future don't exist. It's obviously just in the now. And that's something I always, if there's something that I don't want to do, or if I'm stressed, or if I'm thinking too much in advance, I always remind myself, no past, no future, just now. And that's just what I think. Yeah. Just a little quote that reminds me to be here where I am and enjoy what I'm doing instead of thinking about past, present, future, whatever things that go on in your mind. But that book and the principle from that has been like, I think, I'll
give that book a plug again. The Power of Now.
The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. And I remember I went through a phase of listening to all his his speeches and his teachings and stuff around when I was reading the book as well. Yeah. And that thing was awesome. But yeah, I forgot what made me mention that.
I think it takes a certain level of maturity to be able to embrace that book.
Yeah, I tried.
When I was in uni, I tried reading that book. It put me to sleep.
Yeah, well, I remember I tried giving it a go. Not that book, but certain ideas like that earlier. And I just couldn't pick it up. I was like, what? But once I was reading it, I was very open to the idea of actually accepting, I guess, the deeper spiritual level of what it's going on about. And it's made so much sense. But it's funny because I think you have to be very open to understanding the ideas of it. Yeah. Because if you're not, it just sounds like a bunch of just hippie talk. And I remember I've heard people talk I don't know, you got to be present, one with the universe, or something. What are you talking about? And then I read the book and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense now, because I think I was very ready to accept it.
Do you enjoy what you do more?
I enjoy everything more. Yeah. That thing, I enjoy everything more. I think you appreciate everything more when you're keeping yourself present, 100%. Because I remember, I don't know if I've spoken about this with you before, but before these current shows I did this year, there was a set of shows, Season B last year, which got cancelled a few weeks out because of COVID.
Yeah, we're talking about the IFBB shows.
IFBB shows, yeah. I was in prep for those shows. The shows got cancelled, and I'd been in a prep for a bit, and it messed with my head a bit. Just made me I was in obviously when you're putting everything into something, having a show cancelled it sounds like nothing. Most people would be like, oh, whatever, it's just a show. No, but to me, I'd put all my energy into it. Yeah. It was cancelled, and I was like, shit, I feel very lost, and I was stressed out. I was anxious. I was feeling just very negative about a lot of things. I would think because of that, I was very open to new ideas, and I needed that book to come along and that idea to come along. Then I read it, completely changed my mindset, and then ever since then, my mentality has been better than ever. And I think that's something that it takes a bit of a tough time sometimes mentally to be ready to accept that sort of stuff, I think
that puts you in the mindset of being the champ.
Yeah, I think so.
April this year.
Yeah.
You did your show. Tell me about it. Tell me how it was.
It was awesome. It was good because it was a long time coming as well. I was having shows cancelled, being through a bit, getting to that, becoming mentally, I guess, my most stable and most content was set the tone. And then obviously, the show was awesome. Big prep. I was very confident heading into it. And I think because I was so present in the moment, I enjoyed every single part of the prep, even the hard parts. I enjoyed it. And I think through the enjoyment of it, I performed better, progressed better, posed better. Yeah. And then because I was enjoying it more, obviously did better, because when you enjoy stuff, you put so much more energy into it. And then, the shows came around.
And people feel you.
Yeah.
They vibe with you and
they love you. Yeah, I think if you go about things in a positive way, people tend to align with it well. And I try to be positive about everything I do. But I had an awesome prep, enjoyed it. Had 2 shows. So I had the state show, won that one, and then the national pro qualifier, won that one, which was awesome.
Yeah. Could you tell us, for some of us, including myself, who don't really know this world so well, tell us about the bodybuilding world, particularly IFBB Pro.
Okay, so if we talk about IFBB is the biggest sort of federation for bodybuilding in the world. I'm sure most people have heard about the Mr. Olympia competition, which is the biggest title and the biggest show in the world, which is obviously an IFBB show. So when you start out, obviously in the amateur leagues, you're just competing as an amateur trying to win your pro card. Then once you win your pro card, you're obviously considered a professional. That's when you're qualified to do the pro shows, which there's not really many in Australia, so you've got to travel overseas. And then by going in the bigger pro shows against the best in the world, that's where you're aiming to qualify for the Olympia, which is the biggest show. So all you have to do is win a pro show or qualify on points from placing a certain amount of times. And then to the Olympia, which is obviously every bodybuilder's goal. That's the next step from there. And then obviously the goal is to win that. So yeah, it's all in levels. There's obviously heaps of different federations of bodybuilding out there, which are all very different. I think we were talking about it earlier today. It sort of can be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
But if you're a bodybuilder and you want to be, I guess, on the top of your game and sort of make the most progress and have the most opportunity, you're going to jump into the IFBB, and that's what's going to take you to, obviously, the goal of being Mr. Olympia or being a professional. Or
is that the equivalent of, say, in tennis, world number one?
Yeah, 100%.
Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia is like, it's like the grand finale of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Or what else can I compare it to? I don't know. What other sports are there?
Winning a Super Bowl.
Winning the Super Bowl. That's exactly it.
Or winning a premiership.
It's the biggest thing there is. And it's obviously individual sports, so it's very different. But yeah.
And Mr. Olympia, there's Mr. Olympia in different divisions.
Yep. So you've got, for men, they got men's physique, which is the one where they got like board shorts and stuff. And they're meant to be sort of like a smaller sort of physique, but they're pretty big these days. That's the first, I guess, sort of the smaller category. Men's physique. Next is classic physique, which is what I do.
Yep.
So that's sort of level up. Generically, classic physique guys are a bit bigger than men's physique. Not always, because the men's physique guys are pretty big these days. But classic physique, I think it sort of started as being a bit more of like a reminiscent category of like the golden era of like the 70s, 80s, Arnold days and that sort of stuff. But it's sort of a bit more modern in a way as well. So obviously for classic physique, we have a weight cap. We can only be so heavy on stage. You have to be under that.
Depending on your height.
So for my height, as a pro, I'm allowed to be 101 kilos on stage. As an amateur, it's a little bit lighter. So I had to be like 93 or under.
How many kilos you say?
Now 101 on stage.
101, okay.
And then amateurs for me was 93.
93 kilos.
And that all depends on your height.
Yeah.
So that's the category
and
I do.
you're at 181 centimeters.
I'm 181, I think 181.5 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
let's make that
6
like
foot.
185.
Yeah, I think I'm like 5'11" for everyone who likes to talk in feet. But yeah, and then that's my weight 101. And then obviously the next category is a 212 division, which 212 is 212 pounds, which is, I don't know what that, 90 something kilos. I don't really know what kilos that is. That's sort of like open bodybuilding, but slightly smaller. They have a weight cap to hit as well.
Oh, there's a division before open.
Yeah, so they're normally like just massive guys, but normally a little bit shorter because they got to make that 212 weight cap. And then there's open bodybuilding, which is just the monstrous people.
Who's the guy that often gets compared to a Ninja Turtle? The long.
Not Kai Green.
Yeah. Kai Green.
Yeah.
He's a shorter
He's
bodybuilder.
shorter.
Is he 212?
Nah, he was opens because he's massive. Like if you
he's just too big.
Look at the 212 guys, they're still massive, but
right.
they obviously have to be under whatever that 212 weight cap is, and because it's not
open,
and then opens is just free for all. You can be as heavy and as big as you want, and they're normally like the mass monsters, like
right.
Yeah, so they're the main categories. So obviously you choose what you fit into best, or what sort of look you're going for.
It seems the most popular division is probably classic.
I think these days it is, yeah. Well, classic's been around since I think 2016, maybe 2017. So it's only relatively new. But I think the classic's so popular because you can have a good, decent amount of size, which a lot of young guys aspire to have, but you don't have to be like a mass monster like some of the open guys as well.
Yeah.
But
classics already, the guys there, they're monsters already.
Yeah, well, classic, you still are able to fit plenty of size on within that weight cap, but the goal with classic is to have more balance and sort of more symmetry, more flow. They sort of prioritize judging criteria like around having a smaller waist and a more like an aesthetic look to you instead of just being a really dense sort of look.
Yeah.
So it's very specific in what the judging criteria is after. But yeah, I think it's definitely becoming the most popular, at least in a younger demographic. Most young guys sort of.
In the 70s, 80s, did we have that many divisions?
It was just bodybuilding.
That's it, bodybuilding.
Yeah, and I think they might have had like a tall and a short class or something like that.
When did it start to branch
I
out?
don't know what year it was. I think they had opens, and then I don't really know what year it was. Might have been around like, I don't know, 2010, maybe a little bit later, where I think they introduced
That's probably fairer, yeah?
having more categories. Yeah,
yeah.
because everyone's got there's so many different looks. Like if it just makes it a lot easier to judge, having a little bit less diverse range of people in the one category. You sort of divide it, and that way it's easier to look for what you're after.
Yeah.
And it obviously creates a lot more like popularity for the sport because people are going to choose something they gravitate towards more.
Yeah.
And that's going to be I guess, the people they look up to.
So I appreciate the sport even more. IFBB, you have the qualifiers.
Yep.
And correct me if I completely butcher this up.
Yeah.
So
it's confusing.
yeah, I'm trying to make sense of this. So IFBB, the qualifiers in Australia, within the divisions, Physique, Open, what's the other one?
Classic.
Okay, so Classic, Physique,
Yep.
and Open division,
Yep.
those three, to qualify in that and win,
Yeah.
you get your pro card.
If you win the national show, you win.
If you win the national show. So you got to win the state show first to go to national.
Well, you got to do the state show. You don't have to necessarily win it.
I just do it.
Say if you place,
I can qualify.
If you place, but then you come in better at nationals and you win nationals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just sort of qualifying you for the national show.
Okay. Then I'll roll it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's just say there's someone out there that's listening and they're bodybuilding and they want to get into this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's say Joe, if you're listening, he's bodybuilding, he's passionate, right? In his state, Victoria, he wants to get into IFBB and qualify.
Yep.
If he does well enough, he can go into the national show.
Yep.
Yeah. And for you did the qualifying show where?
In Queensland.
In Queensland. And you won that.
Yeah.
Which automatically you go into the national show.
Nationals, yeah.
So for the national show, all of Australia, you competed in the Classic Physique division.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's only one pro card?
For Classic Physique, yeah.
For Classic
each category,
Physique.
yeah.
For each category.
Yeah.
And how many people did you compete in nationally?
The national show overall, well, they split it into height classes. So I think
Okay.
there was tall and short.
Yeah.
The tall one maybe had 20 odd guys. The short might have had 20 or so, maybe a little bit
Yeah.
less.
And
And then
between the
obviously-
tall and short, do they each get a pro card?
Nah, just the winner. So the
Whoa.
winner of the tall and the winner of the short
Yeah.
come back out for finals.
Oh, so that tall and short got to compete against each other.
Yep.
So you're in the tall
I
category,
was in
right?
the tall category.
So how many centimeters is tall?
I don't know. I think they sort of divide it on the numbers on the day. So
So
they probably just split it halfway.
relative,
half we
depending
did.
on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was fine because the guy that won the short category
Yeah.
in the season that I competed, he's just won his pro card this season as well, actually. He must have just been on the cusp of short because he was almost my height.
Okay.
So he must have just been like a centimeter shorter. So
Right.
on stage next to each other, we look like
Right.
a similar height.
So for Joe, if you're listening,
Joe.
in the national competition,
Yeah.
which you did April this year,
Yeah.
you were in the tall category.
Yeah.
There's a short category. Both are in Classic Physique.
Yep.
Yep. You won that.
Yeah.
Someone else won the short.
Yeah.
And then you and the other guy have to compete.
Yeah.
And there's only one pro card.
Yeah.
For
so
it.
you got to win all of it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So winner takes all.
Winner takes all.
And if you come second, what do you get?
Pat on the back. You probably get a second place medal. I'm not sure.
Right.
But
so there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah.
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 And then you tell me about that day for you. Going on stage, to give respect to the guy. What's his name?
The guy that came second,
Yeah.
his name's Matt Orchard, and he
Matt
just
Orchard.
won this season's show.
Oh,
So it was very close between
fantastic.
us. He
Yeah.
took
So-
a little bit of time and won the next one.
and when was the next one?
The next one, I think it happened only like a month ago.
A month ago.
Yeah, so
Ah,
it's like 6 months difference.
So that's a nice story.
Yeah.
That
So he just missed out.
that
Came
Matt
back and won. Yeah.
lost to you in April,
Yeah.
and then in the only other show of the year
He comes
last month, he
Yeah.
comes back and wins it.
Yeah.
That's
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
And the more shows you do, the more you learn. Like you learn sort of certain things you can improve or change that are going to.
So were you happy for him?
100%. I was rooting for him to win because he's a really good guy. We get along really well.
Yeah. Were you two close?
I only really
in terms of like was he close to winning that day in April?
I think from what I'm aware, I think it was pretty close. I don't know the exact points at the end of the day, but I think it was pretty close. So I guess if you think about it that way, if he comes second overall, he's next in line.
Right.
So as long as someone else doesn't do the season B that's better than him, he's won it. So he came in really well and took it, obviously. But that's the good thing about it. The more shows you do, you learn more. You find out what you can do to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he sort of came in at his best after a little bit of time to improve a little bit more, I guess.
Came in even better.
Yeah, and won it easily.
Right.
So, yeah.
When you won it, how did you feel?
Also, it's pretty surreal. I think winning your pro card as a bodybuilder, no matter what level you're at, it's always like your goal, or at least the first goal of many to sort of get you to that next level. And it was surreal. I think, it was an awesome day. I felt confident because, again, when you compete, all the work's been done beforehand. You've done all the work. Up on stage, you're just going to sort of present your work. So it's not really too much to be nervous about.
Yeah.
But again, I was just soaking up, enjoying the experience, having a good time. And then I won, and it was pretty awesome, but it felt very surreal. And I don't think it sunk in that I'd won my pro card. I don't know if it's sunk in now, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a big goal that when you tick it off, it's weird. It's a weird feeling because it's like, wow, this is like real. It doesn't seems too good to be true. But then you realize once you win it, it's sort of just like it's like graduating high school. You've achieved that, but it's just the beginning. There's so much more.
Yeah.
Like,
so you've conquered Australia, but then
in
the
way,
world.
Now it opens up opportunities for the next level. So there's a lot more work to be done, a lot more shows to be done, a lot more progress to be made. But it's a big stepping stone, I think. Yeah. So it was an exciting day to win that for sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it felt pretty weird. I think I don't think it's going to fully sink in until I do my first pro show. Because again.
So tell us, what do you mean by pro show?
So pro shows are the shows that I guess you're competing for money. And they're the shows that are going to qualify you for the Olympia down the track or however you
anyone that competes in the pro show, they must win.
If you want
get a
to
pro card first. Yeah,
so you got to win your national amateur show.
Yeah.
And that qualifies you, obviously to win your pro card. And then you're considered a professional athlete. So then you go do the professional shows where you can obviously level up and aim to be the best. But so my first pro show will be next year, which there's not any major shows for classic physique in Australia. So I'll be going to America around June, July, doing a handful of shows there. And that's where it all starts, I think. But I think that's when it'll fully sink in that I've won the pro card because I guess you win your pro card, but I don't know. You have to do something with it, I guess, before it seems real. I don't know.
How did you celebrate after you won?
I didn't really do too much. We were I was living in Queensland at the time, but we were here in Melbourne for the show. We stayed here for a week and just sort of explored the city. After the show, we sort of went and walked around. The day after the show, we went out for a big pasta meal, a big carbonara. A big bowl of, carbonara was my celebration. We just sort of had a nice sort of night together and enjoyed a meal. And that was pretty much it.
For the average Joe in Melbourne or wherever, and they see you walk past, they don't actually care, right? They have no idea you won. Or do they all come up to you to get autographs?
People in the gym who follow bodybuilding sometimes come and I guess they recognize me and stuff, but anyone else who's not into bodybuilding would be like, oh, who's this big idiot walking around? So it's bodybuilding's a pretty niche sport, so not everyone really gets into it. But it's cool. I guess as a pro, winning shows and stuff, people tend to recognize you sometimes, which is kind of cool. But again, it's only the beginning. There's only winning a pro card is just the first step. So there's obviously a lot more to come, a lot more exposure to get, all that sort of stuff. So that'll come.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
And before I get to that, I'm going to read something from Instagram
that
you posted after you won.
Yep.
The biggest thank you to Morgan Eldred, who has not only put up with my pursuit on this somewhat selfish sport, but also joined me on the fun and absolutely conquered her own prep alongside me. I love you more than you know and appreciate you more than I can express.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I wrote that the day after the show when I was doing cardio. I've been doing cardio in the hotel gym after the show. But I think I'm very lucky to have someone who understands what I do, because I think after what we've sort of spoken about today, it's pretty, I guess, you can probably tell that bodybuilding is a very, in a way, selfish sort of sport. It's hard. It would be very hard to understand, I'm sure, for most people who aren't into the sport as well. And it takes a lot, obviously, a lot of routine and a lot of specifics that have to be in line 24/7. So to have someone to support that and understand it is I'm very, very lucky and grateful for. And the fact that she competes as well and she's does the same thing makes it even better because we can do it together. It's really fun. Obviously, you hear a lot of people out there who have in relationships and they're not, I guess, perfectly aligned because one person wants to compete, the other person doesn't. I think there's a weird imbalance just because lifestyles can be so different. But we're very lucky that we love the same thing. We're both big fans of bodybuilding, the sport. We both have big goals to be successful professionals as well at it. So we align really, really well. So it's really good.
It's normal to be in relationships with someone who's quite different to you.
Yeah.
And it's so rare that you're with someone like Morgan and you're completely aligned.
Yeah.
It's a really special thing.
We're very lucky. Yeah. Every relationship's different. Like you got a mixed match of different qualities. I think personality wise we're fairly different, but in a way that like fits together well.
Right.
I think I'm a very laid back sort of relaxed sort of person and she's very high energy, like very like outgoing sort of person. But together it just mixes really well. But having those differences that sort of fit together, like it's like Tetris, just like fits together really well.
Yeah.
Having those sort of qualities that work well while also having the same goal in mind, it's like a perfect combo. So it makes things very, very easy.
What do you love most about Morgan?
I don't know. It's just, I think when you're with someone that you enjoy being around, just spending time with them, whether it's like you're doing activities together or if you're just doing your own thing, but in the presence of each other. I think I like just being around her because she obviously makes me feel happy and like, I don't know, feel good. So having her there, whether or not we're doing stuff together is always fun, or if we're doing other things, just being in each other's presence is enjoyable.
How did you two meet?
At the gym, of course. We both worked at a Good Life gym as personal trainers. We were both trainers.
Yeah.
When was this? This was 2019, I think.
Okay.
And our first date was a trip to the gym. And then from there we just...
Who teared that up?
I don't know. I remember there was a day that it was a weekend. I was like, I'm going to go train at this gym at the beach on the weekend. Do you want to come with? She's like, yep. That's where it started. But yeah. And then
smooth.
It worked out it was just very casual, but it worked out very well. And then, she wasn't...
Who got whose number or Instagram?
I don't know. I don't know where it started, to be honest. It just sort of flowed very naturally, which was cool. We didn't have to force anything.
Yep. Not premeditated.
No, but she didn't know what bodybuilding was when we first met. She's like, what's bodybuilding? Like, it's like...
She was obviously into fitness.
She was into the gym, but she didn't really know about the sport of competitive bodybuilding. And then she sort of learnt a bit about it and then started to enjoy the process of it more. Yeah. Then she came to my first show and watched the women compete.
Right.
I remember
Your first show was at 21?
My first show, I was 21, I think. Yeah, it was just before COVID hit, so early 2020.
And she came to support you?
She came and supported, and then after I finished, we watched the women's show, and I was sitting there with her, and she was absolutely loving it. She's like, holy hell, I want to do this. And then since that, she's been really into it.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's cool that she's...
Has she changed much since you first met her?
Personality-wise, no. Physique-wise, she's built some solid muscle, which is always the goal. But yeah, I think not the things that you don't want people to change, she hasn't changed. The things you do want to change for your own, like just for myself wanting to build muscle, her wanting to build muscle and progress in the sport, we've both changed a lot, I think.
If it wasn't because of you, would she have gotten into bodybuilding?
I don't know. Maybe not. She definitely wasn't really aware of it, I think, before we met, so maybe she wouldn't. Yeah. But I think she enjoys it a lot now to the point where I'm sure she might have stumbled across it at some point from whatever happened, but who knows? Who knows? But I think she's glad she's found it. I'm glad she's found it because she enjoys it.
I don't really know, but I can only assume that maybe women might have some resistance toward bodybuilding.
I think sometimes it's very easy for people who aren't as educated in what bodybuilding is, females sometimes, to look at it and be like, oh, I don't want to look muscular. I guess because most women don't want to look muscular.
Because enough men already say, oh, I don't want to gym too much because I don't want to get too big.
Yeah. And I think
I reckon women would say
stereotypically a lot of ladies don't want to get muscular, but saying that again, a lot of do. And it just depends on what you want to do. There's no
but it's hard to get muscular.
For a male, it's hard to get muscular. For a female, just hormonally, they're not going to grow as easy as men either. So
Yeah.
yeah, not everyone's going to grow, but it's definitely doable, and a lot of women do it and do a really good job at it. But it's
Because it's not like you just hit the gym a couple of times and you're going to get massive.
And I think that's where people sort of
Takes
get scared.
a lot of work.
Sometimes people get scared. It's like, oh shit, I don't want to. They don't want to get too manly looking or whatever, and it obviously doesn't happen overnight. But yeah, it's obviously doable if you have the right goals and you're doing the right thing, as everything sort of works. So yeah, I think at first, when a lot of people don't know much about sport, men and women, it's very easy to sort of not understand it and not really want to be resistant towards it because they don't want to look like it. But I think when you learn more about it, you can understand that you can have full control over how your body looks. It's just about doing the right things and educating yourself on what's required to make the progress you want and then do it.
Yeah.
Because you're not just going to go to the gym and put on 10 kilos of muscle in a week.
The ideal body is obviously very subjective. For men, a typical way of comparison would be the V taper.
Yeah.
Small waist.
Yeah.
Big arms, big chest, all that.
Yeah.
How about for females?
I think it changes a lot, doesn't it? I think if you look, I was speaking to Morgan about this the other day. If you look like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, lots of ladies tended to want to look like very skinny and like model-like. Yeah. And then they're sort of like...
Morgan's a personal trainer herself.
She's a trainer as well and a coach herself, yeah.
And we could follow her on Morgan Aldrich.
Yeah, just Instagram and everything as well. And she does similar to what I do. She does programming and coaching, and she does a lot of like posing coaching for the stage for bikini competitors. Because obviously posing is a very big part of...
Yeah, for the female listeners who are interested.
Yeah.
Well, check out Morgan.
If we look at posing, like posing is a very big part of bodybuilding, but especially for the bikini category because they get judged a lot on, I guess, how they present themselves. So she coaches people on how to do that, which is awesome because there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, where were we? Oh yeah, I think women in general, like, I think a lot of them these days want to look like, I don't know, like Instagram people. It's just the same as guys do. But it sort of varies. But it's very easy to sort of build up a bit of a misconception as to what happens in the gym and how much muscle you're going to grow overnight, which sort of scares some people away, I think.
Sure.
But yeah.
This is a stupid question, but I'm curious about it. Guys who train and do it in the right way, they can grow and have massive chests.
Yeah.
How about for women? Is it possible to train their chest and grow their breasts?
Yeah, well, you'll build like pec muscle.
Pec muscle, yeah.
Every person's got like a pec, like a chest muscle.
Yeah.
Obviously, women, it's sort of hidden by other body parts as well.
Yeah.
So if you build up your pecs, you're going to build up your pecs. It's just like building your chest. So
yes.
Guys normally want a big chest just because it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Girls, I guess, aren't always too concerned because you can't always see like a pec muscle that's hidden by...
Oh, the pec doesn't push up the...
Oh, I don't think directly, nah.
Okay.
It's obviously the muscle is like a deeper layer. So that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't even know how it works too much.
Yeah.
But for bodybuilding in women, I think a lot of women don't prioritize a lot of chest work because it's not really judged on the stage. So it's not really anything to worry about. It's a lot of women categories very like leg and glute dominant, so more lower body work.
Your abs are so defined and thick, and you're in your off season right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, still visible.
Yeah.
How much do people need to train their abs?
It depends on what your goals are. Again, it's not like you need to train your abs. Doing bigger compound movements where you're like supporting your posture, your abs are working. So obviously by bracing your core, the abs are being worked. But if you struggle to brace your core, I always recommend doing a bit of extra core work just because it helps sort of build a better connection with your abs and learning how to brace it right. Yeah. Obviously, ab work will build the ab muscle as well, but it's never going to be visible if you're holding extra body fat. So it's about making sure body fat levels are lower so you can see it. And then obviously having abdominal muscle there. Everyone has it there, but the more developed it is, the more you're going to be able to see it. So
can there be a significant difference by building the abs to make them thicker and make them pop?
Yeah, well, if you train them more, like any muscle, they're going to grow and be more visible.
Yeah.
But you got to remember as well, a lot of people sort of get scared that by training too much abs, they're going to make their waist look thicker, which is, I guess, technically that could happen, but it's sort of pretty tricky. If you think about how thin, like your abdominal or your abs, like the muscle's probably like that thin. So for the muscle to double in size, it's going to be like that thick. Even that's not super thick.
Sure.
And for a muscle to double in size, if you think about doubling the size of your bicep, it takes time.
Yeah.
So it's not like doubling the thickness of your abs is going to make your waist a lot thicker. So
how often do you train your abs?
I train mine 1 or 2 times a week in the off season, just to sort of keep them, just to make sure that I'm bracing well and keep them active.
If you didn't train your abs at all,
yeah,
do you think your abs would look less defined?
I think pretty similar.
Pretty similar,
Maybe
actually.
Slightly less developed, but if your body fat's low enough, you're going to see abs anyway.
Is it genetics too? How much they pop?
No, it can be. Everyone's sort of got a genetic sort of different shape to their abdominals and stuff. You see some people that have like really symmetrical abs. Some people have like not symmetrical. So that's a genetic thing, just the way the muscles attach, like every muscle. But
yeah,
I think the amount that your abs are protrusive mostly comes down to how dense they are, obviously from being worked, and also just how low or high body fat you are. So it's like revealed.
Yeah.
But it's a common thing, isn't it? Everyone wants abs. But the easiest way to do it is just to lose body fat.
Body fat.
Get lean as possible in a healthy manner, and they'll be there.
What do you prefer? To be shredded, low body fat, or right now?
It depends. It's a hard question again, because with the bodybuilding competitive side of things, it's not so much that we're concerned about how we look. It's more how
you feel.
How we not even so much how we feel, more just how much progress we're making. Because again, it's a sport where you're trying to meet a criteria of judging. So you're trying to make progress in certain areas. So it's not like we're looking at ourselves and be like, I want to look like this because I want people to look at me this way. It's more about trying to meet a criteria for a sport so you can win at it. So it's again a less of an emotional thing, more of like just a factual competitive thing.
So you treat it professionally.
Yeah, like it's not so. I think when you're bodybuilding competitively, you're doing it to win shows, not to look good and feel, not to look like a certain way, for different reasons, I guess. But personally, I sort of enjoy the phase I'm in now, because having more food in your system in a growing phase, you have more energy. More energy, you feel better, feel stronger, all that sort of stuff. When you're in a cutting phase for a show, obviously you look leaner, and sometimes it feels good to be a little bit leaner as well. But your energy levels are lower because you're putting less energy into your body, and your output's normally higher. So yeah, energy is not always quite as good.
Is it possible to build muscle at maintenance, meaning your calorie expenditure and what you consume is almost the same?
Yeah, it can be done, but like obviously you're going to make more progress if you're in a surplus. I think for a lot of people, you can sort of recomp a little bit, especially if you're new to the gym. Sometimes your body's a lot more responsive to what you're doing. So if you're eating at maintenance levels, you may be able to drop a bit of body fat and build a bit of muscle at the same time.
Yeah.
Definitely doable, but the results may be a little bit less, like not quite as fast if you're sort of directly focusing on losing body fat, one or the other, or building muscle. But there's a time and place for that sort of stuff. I think for a lot of clients of mine who are really new to the gym, will sort of start around maintenance calories, maybe a slight surplus, and they'll find they will be able to drop a bit of body fat and build a bit of muscle.
Yeah.
But for someone who's more advanced, you sort of have to be a bit more specific, I find.
Yeah. It's always like the first couple of years.
Yeah. When you're new, your body's not used to it. So almost anything you do is going to make some sort of response. But yeah.
If I may, just to go back to your partner, Morgan.
Yeah.
What do you think makes your relationship work so well?
Again, I think similar to what I said before, sort of like just the balance of different characteristics that sort of evens each other out. And I guess having a very similar mindset to achieving things that we want to achieve. It makes it, obviously we relate to each other very well because we have the same interests. Like if being a fan of bodybuilding, it's just like being a fan of any sport. Like you chat with your mates about it and you feel like you chat about it for ages. We're the same. We both love it, so we can talk about the same stuff.
Your number one passion would be bodybuilding?
Yeah, 100%.
How about Morgan?
Yeah, she's the same, to be honest.
Same?
Yeah.
And before you two were together, what would you say was her number one?
She used to be into athletics.
Athletics.
Like I think through school and like teenage years and stuff, she was really good at, like, I think she did like a bunch of different athletics, like high jump, long jump, just running, that sort of stuff, all the track stuff.
And when she took more and more of an interest toward bodybuilding, did that just happen naturally, or did you in the back of your mind want to try and like kind of
just happen naturally, to be honest? Like I would hate nothing more than for her to do something that she doesn't want to do.
Yeah,
because like I don't care what she does as long as she's happy. That's the main thing. So the fact that this makes her happy and she enjoys it, that's the most important thing. But
so maybe you inspired her a lot. Seeing how much you loved it.
I exposed her to the sport a bit, I guess. Yeah. And then, maybe seeing me do well and enjoy it, she wanted to do it as well. But, yeah, I'd never want to pressure her into doing it because I'd hate to do something. Even myself, I hate to do something that I don't want to do just because someone told me to do it. But being her similar to me, she was into like another sport when she was younger. You can sort of take similar sort of lessons you learn from that into the sport of bodybuilding, although it's like a very different sort of act. But she could bring things she learned from that into this. I could bring what I did younger into this as well. So we sort of had a similar sort of upbringing of playing a lot of sport. So it sort of related well with that as well. I think she just sort of hadn't found exactly what sport she wanted to like actually, I guess, stick to until she found this. So worked out well.
And how does she spend your time compared to you?
Relatively similar. She's got a similar routine. We do a lot of our work separately. So if I'm working with clients, I'll normally do it on my own time when she's out doing other work or doing her own training or something as well. Just easier to sort of focus. And she'll probably do the same. I mean, I'm at the gym. She probably might be doing some of her client work as well. So we're doing similar stuff, but I think having time to herself to do the work, especially for me because I get distracted easy, it's good to do that on our own. But what we're doing is very similar. It's just sort of spaced out in like, I guess, the most like optimal sort of way. But her and I are both very easily distracted. Like I'll get distracted easy. She'll probably get distracted easy if we both are out.
Kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, no, I get distracted very easily. I got a short attention span. But I guess if I'm talking about something I enjoy, like competing and all that sort of stuff, I can talk about it forever. So.
Right. What's so cool is that you and Morgan competed together.
Yeah. First show we did together. So the show that she did this year was her first ever show. She prepped for a few other shows earlier, but they didn't happen because of COVID. So she had a long time coming for this show. But we did it together and it was awesome. Because we're in the similar sort of process of getting in shape for the show. Yeah. Like we understand how each other feel. Sometimes we're lower energy in prep. We understand it because we're feeling it ourselves. Yeah. It's not like what's this person so tired all the time for? It's very understandable. So it makes things very easy.
How much did she support you leading up to the show?
No, she supported me heaps. And I think I don't really need a lot of physical sort of support, I guess. But just by having her there and understanding what I'm doing is the most supporting thing that helps, I think. And she probably feels a similar way. Like
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of, you see it a lot, like having in a relationship, like sometimes everyone's got their own roles. Like sometimes a lady will do all the cooking, the guy will do all this. I don't really like the idea of doing that. I like just doing her own thing. I would hate to have her do stuff for me. But by her just being there and being, I don't know, just sort of understanding what I'm doing and having like a supportive energy about what I'm doing and then doing the same thing herself is awesome. That's plenty. But yeah, I wouldn't say much physical support in terms of doing things for each other. I don't think that's necessary. I think just understanding.
Is it true when bodybuilders get to competition to be ready to be ready for the show? Yeah, they're so depleted, the energy's down, that the sex drive is also down.
Yeah, everything like your energy, everything everything's down. It's just the way it is. Like your body's trying to provide energy just to function on such low calories that a lot of certain bodily functions and certain things, body just like, that's on the back burner. I'm not going to worry about that right now. And then obviously once you refuel, put your food back in, everything comes back to obviously baseline and you're healthy again. Yeah. But it's when you're in prep that like there's not much else going on other than just prep. It's just there's tunnel vision, choose what you're doing, and then know that the other sort of parts of life come back.
Yeah. In professional sports, let's say football, soccer.
Yeah.
There's a coach, Pep Guardiola, who coaches Manchester City. It could be myth or factual, but he tells his players to not have sex before game day or the night before.
What's the science behind that?
Because if you have sex, then your energy is depleted.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. On a hormonal level or like on a just physical output level?
Everything. Like, I guess...
I can understand that.
The theory is you have sex, you love hormones, you're not focused, you're thinking about the person you may love to, orgasm, energy's depleted. Generally speaking for men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I haven't thought of that before, to be honest. But any sort of physical activity to an extent before a game or a show or whatever, I guess you're taking out of your energy stores. So that makes sense. is that what he does, or is that like what a lot of people do? Or is that a known?
That's what Pep, the coach, would advise his players.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense. I've never heard of it, and I got no idea what the science behind it is, but I guess it makes sense, doesn't it?
What I'm trying to get to is, say, not to be too personal here, but optimal sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleep and recovery. If we talk about sex and sleep and recovery, do you have anything to say about before you sleep or in the morning when you wake up about how to recover the best for your body?
Well, sleep is like a very big thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to build muscle or maintain muscle when you're in a deficit, you need to be recovering, and sleeping is when you recover the most. So sleeping is a big thing. I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, but I don't breathe. I have like sleep apnea, so I need to be using like a CPAP machine when I sleep. So like the big mask thing that helps you breathe.
Yeah.
And when I use that, massive difference in energy levels next day. Massive. It's like noticeably massive, purely because I got more oxygen in my lungs. I've had a better quality sleep.
So that's part of your sleep hygiene.
Yeah, it's broken. My machine's broken recently, and I never really noticed the fact that I'm a little bit more tired until I start using it again.
Okay.
And then the next day I'm like, holy shit, I feel really, really fresh.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a massive noticeable difference that, when your sleep quality is better, your energy throughout the day is better, your recovery is better, your performance is better, everything. It's a massive difference. I think your mental clarity is better.
Yeah.
Obviously hormone function is going to be better, everything. Crazy how it works, but yeah.
How about sex before sleep?
In terms of
recovery.
I don't have any knowledge on the science behind it. I'm guessing.
From experience, like, does it help in your recovery? Does it detract you from your recovery, or no difference?
From what I've experienced, I don't know. I'm sure there'd be like a more scientific answer to it.
Yeah.
But I think if it's a way to, relax you more, so you're getting into a deeper sleep, then potentially. But yeah, I don't know enough about how it affects your hormones on like a short term to affect it. But yeah, but do you know? I have no idea.
This part we can cut out, right? About the sex thing. But so this is what I've observed before going to sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find that actually I wake up groggy.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find that if I just simply go to sleep, and maybe before sleeping, like just unwind or meditate, I wake up very refreshed.
Okay.
And I find that when you have sex and the sheet's really dirty,
your sleep quality is not good.
It's just wet, and then you just like your partner's like, it was good sex and she passed out and I passed out, and the sex could be like 5 minutes, it could be an hour, and I feel like actually, if perhaps my choice would be actually just stick to a time to sleep and focus on recovery.
Well,
and
if
the sex can come
your sleep
later.
duration, maybe.
Yeah.
But
do you have any personal observations
I haven't experienced
about that?
anything. But again, I'm a very heavy sleeper.
Yeah.
I
just find that when we have sex, inevitably the time I go to sleep will be much later.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes plenty of sense.
How have you found the right balance where you still sleep at a good time and make love when you feel and
yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I sleep so easily that it's never an issue. I can run a marathon before I go to bed. I can be doing work before bed. I hit the pillow and I'm out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel around sleep I'm not very mindful.
Okay.
Just because I sleep so easily, I don't take note of variables that I guess affect it too much. To be honest, I think someone who would struggle with sleep, I'm sure they'd be able to tell more how it affects the sleep, because obviously the timing makes a big difference, but I think the quality is the biggest thing.
Timing of sex?
Yeah. As in how it affects your sleep, or?
Timing of sex, how that may affect your sleep or your recovery.
Yeah. I think for me, if it's an activity you're doing before bed, you're active, you're expending energy. So you'd think that you'd probably
calories burnt.
Well, yeah, but you'd think you'd probably go into a deeper sleep, wouldn't you?
Okay.
Because
sure.
It's like if you went and did a workout, you're tired after, you're going to go into a deeper sleep earlier. So potentially before bed may affect getting into a deeper sleep easier.
How about in the morning?
Yeah, in terms of energy, how it affects your energy. I don't know. I need to do more. I need to research this.
Okay.
This is interesting. Okay. I honestly have no like knowledge on how it affects your energy at all.
Sure.
But now you mentioned it, I'm interested. I want to know. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know if it has a massive effect on energy, but I know that it does have an effect on, I guess, mental.
There are some athletes, that before game day, the night before, no sex, or even a week before the game, no sex at all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And actually, now you say that, I remember my first ever coach before my first show. He did say that. So before the show, just don't do it. Go to sleep. It was okay.
How many days before the show?
That was just one day before the show. That was
one day. Okay.
That's the last thing you mind before a show. You're tired and you just want to sleep. But now you say that, I do remember him saying that. But again, I don't know the science behind it. But it's probably something I would like to learn, to be honest. Because if timing or anything will affect your performance in the gym or your recovery, it's worthwhile knowing, I guess. Yeah. But I have no knowledge on it whatsoever.
Whatever you're doing is already working.
I guess. But then again, there's always different ways to make it better. There's always ways to add 1% little improvements to what you're doing and be better. So the more knowledge you have, the better.
When it comes to food, digestion, how do you take care of your body?
In terms of digestion,
in terms of digestion, because you eat so much.
I eat a lot of food. Yeah. I've recently started. There's a point where I was just taking like a generic digestive enzyme supplement, which would just help break down food. But recently, I've been advised by my coach to start using a couple of more specific supplements. One was a form of magnesium glycinate, I think it was called. And the other is, I don't know how to pronounce it, betaine, B-E-T-A-I-N-E, HCl. I don't know how the hell you pronounce it, but it aids in producing more stomach acid to break down foods. Okay. So it's sort of like a more specific, direct version of just taking a generic digestive enzyme.
Have you heard of uric acid?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I'm not really too sure of of the specifics of it. But those are the two supplements I take just to help break down foods, because again, the digestive system having to break down so much beef and meat and chicken and all this food every 2 hours, regularly every day, can sort of become a little bit tough, I guess.
What kind of other supplements do you take?
Man, I've got heaps. So in the morning I wake up, I've got a big concoction of stuff. I've got obviously liver and kidney support supplements as well, which are a combo of different herbs. What are they? There's like a milk thistle supplement, a tudka, how you say it. It stands for something. I forget what it stands for, but again, it's just organ support. I take, what else is in there?
Ashwagandha?
I have before, but not at the moment. I take a GABA supplement, which is another. It's, I guess, in a way similar to ashwagandha. It's helps to.
How do you say it again?
Ashwagandha.
I think
that's how you say
ashwagandha.
It. Yeah. But it's just a herbal supplement.
Because that's to help with reducing
helps with easing
stress.
the mind a bit, and that's what the GABA supplement in a way is similar for. It sort of like eases the mind a bit.
Yeah.
I've obviously got.
And read Power of Now.
What's that? Sorry.
Read Power of Now.
Read Power of Now. That gets you going as well.
That's a good supplement.
I love that thing. I've been reading. I've been going back and reading The Secret as well, which is similar stuff. Yes. But supplement wise, again, what else do I have? I've got vitamin C. I'll take omega-3s. I'll take what else have I got in there? I got a big tray in my cupboard, and I just put them all in the morning.
Creatine
I take as well. So if we talk about, I guess, performance supplements, creatine's in there as well. I'll take glutamine as well for gut health and just digestion as well. You can also aid in recovery too. I take vitamin D2 and K3, which is like in the one supplement together. Oh man, my memory is so bad. What else do I take? Just in simple terms, is a few organ support supplements, general health supplements, just certain things to help with recovery as well, on top of a diet. But again, if your diet is pretty complete, you're going to get most of the micronutrients through it. But there's some things you'll benefit from having higher doses of. So that's what those sort of supplements come into play for as well. But yeah, I need to write it down. People always ask me, and I'm like, man, I can't even remember. I buy them. I make note of them. I take them every day without thinking about it. But yeah, it comes down to the individual as well. If you're very active like I am, or if you're in the gym a lot as well, it can sort of take a toll on certain organs and certain parts of your body. So you want to make sure you're supplementing for that, and having certain nutrients in higher quantities. You want to take care of your health, because if you're not healthy at first, you're not going to be in the position to build muscle or progress. So,
are you concerned at all with the amount of protein you take?
not so much. So from what I've been told, high protein diets can affect obviously internal organs and stuff if you have pre-existing issues.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, if you're perfectly healthy, it's not going to make a massive, it's not going to really be too much of an issue, other than being a little bit of extra stress on the digestive system as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, from my knowledge, I've had no issues with anything. I obviously get my blood work done regularly as well to make sure everything else is in line. But from my experience, I've had no issues from having a high protein diet, other than just having to be very mindful of the meal timing so that you're breaking it down well enough before you have your next meal. But what is it? I think it's a bit toxic on the kidney or liver or something if you're having a high protein diet with pre-existing issues.
Yes.
Like everything, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any tips for timing of meals? How do you fit it all in?
So for me, my meals I'm having 6 meals a day, so I have to be pretty mindful. I have a pretty consistent timing routine throughout the day to make sure I get it in. Because if you're having like one meal in the morning and then you're waiting a bunch of hours till the next one, you're likely going to have to condense a lot of the meals, and that's when it's not going to digest too well. Whereas if you're having your meals spaced out evenly at a certain time, you know that they're going to go in and digest well. So for me, I have the first meal is normally 7:30ish. The next one's normally around 10ish. The next one's normally around 1ish. Next one's normally about 3:34ish.
Do you take all of this with you on the go?
Depending on the day. Normally I can have a lot of it fresh because I'm normally working from home in the morning and afternoon.
Oh, you don't live too
So
far.
I'll normally bring 1 or 2 meals to the gym, have one before I leave, and then have the last few in the afternoon at home. But if I'm going out for the day, I'll prep it up.
I think I've seen you eat your food at the gym.
Yeah, I'm
And
normally
you don't
eating-
really heat it up.
Sometimes it depends. Depends what meal it is.
Right.
I don't need to heat it up. Sometimes it's better when you heat it up though, especially when your calories are higher. I think you need.
But no worries
to make
with
it-
germs and
Nah, it's fine. I cook
bacteria.
it pretty fresh. It's like I cook it fresh, put it in the fridge.
on the day?
If I'm having it cold, I normally have it from prepped on the day or at least the day before.
Yeah.
But I'll normally prep up my meats in bulk, my rice and carb sources in bulk, and then I'll weigh them out and obviously put them into.
How many days in advance?
Meat, I'll normally have 2 to 3 days in advance.
Okay.
The chicken will sort of be probably 2 days.
Yeah.
The beef I normally do on the day, just because I go through so much beef.
Right. So you don't do it a week in advance?
No, I think luckily enough for me, I work from home, so I can quickly whip stuff up in the morning and then in the afternoon. That's sort of like what I use as my breaks between work. So I'll work for a couple of hours,
Yeah.
have a little break to quickly prep up a meal. So that makes it pretty easy. But obviously, if you're not working from home, when I used to work full time from the gym, I'd obviously prep up further in advance and just freeze the meals and then heat them up. So that's probably the most common way to do things. Prep it up start of the week, maybe prep for 3 or 4 days or the whole week, freeze it, and then you don't have to think about it, just take it.
Having a good process is so important to actually make you apply it.
Definitely. Yeah, so it's pretty routine what I do with my meals. Just cook it up, eat it, season it, make sure it's nice, done, down the hatch.
I appreciate so much that you're spending all this time with me when you could be eating.
Well, it's almost mealtime now.
Almost
I think
mealtime.
about it, but
Yeah.
actually 4
It
o'clock
is
will
right
be my
now.
next meal. I got a little bit of time. It's all right.
Right.
I'm getting
right.
hungry though. Yeah, I can tell. But no, it's normally every few hours I eat a meal. So
Yeah.
morning meals are a little bit more spaced out. Afternoons are a bit more condensed. But it works out pretty well. But timing's key. A lot of clients that come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I don't have the appetite," because they're obviously trying to grow, they're eating in a surplus. Your appetite will be so much lower if your meals are condensed. You're always going to digest stuff better and have more of an appetite if you have smaller, more frequent meals, but spaced out in like an even quantity than having like 3 big, massive meals.
I'd love to hear where you're going next year.
Next
Your
year,
big dreams.
Next year, I'm planning on doing my first stint of pro shows over in America. So going off of the dates, I believe the shows will be from June till August. There's like 3 different shows around Florida and Texas and I think Chicago were the shows I was looking at. I don't think they've announced the exact dates yet until I don't know what date they announce them, but as soon as they announce them, I'm going to register and make sure I book it in and organise flights and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, mid next year is when the shows will be, which means I'll be starting my prep for the show, which is obviously like the cutting phase of dropping weight and making weight for the stage. Will probably start around February, maybe late February. So yeah, it's all sort of roughly planned out. As soon as dates are announced, I'm going to register and get it all going. But mid next year is when it starts. And now we're just sort of in that growing phase, putting on a bit more muscle before it's time.
What's the dream?
My dream, I want to go to the Olympia and win the Olympia. As big as of a goal it is, like sometimes I say it and people go, what are you talking about? It's like, That's a big goal. You don't gotta do that, but I believe I can do it. I don't think I'm there yet. Obviously, I've got to make a lot of progress and work towards it, but I have belief in my work ethic to the point where I know that I'll be able to do what's required to get there. I just got to be patient, make sure I keep doing what I'm doing to the point where I get there. But that's the goal. I want to be as good as I can possibly be at it.
I'm soaking up this moment right now because I feel humbled that I'm here with you before all of this is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'll come back after it happens. But yeah, it's hard to say. I think it's hard to put your goals out there without coming across as like cocky and overconfident. But
you got to believe it.
You got to have self-confidence.
Yeah.
I believe in having like.
You talked about the secret.
Again, yeah, exactly. You got to have sort of you got to know what you want and envision it and make sure you're working towards it and believe you're going to have it or it won't happen.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was all about that.
Yeah, he was. I wouldn't say he's cocky, but he was very openly confident, which is fine.
Yeah.
I sort of believe more in being, I guess, silently confident. Like I have the belief inside. I don't want to go out and sort of rub it in people's faces. I just want to believe it myself and just do it.
Do you picture it though? Do you picture yourself on stage
always.
taking the
100%. Yeah. It's like one of those weird things you think about in the shower. Like I envision like speeches I do winning the show and like just envision like certain things. Because it's like, I don't know, it's like when you're a kid growing up wanting to be like a sports player or something, you sort of imagine yourself doing it. And now, same thing now. I'm like a fan of the sport and I envision myself doing it, but I'm sort of envisioning it on like a level where I know I can do it now. So it's about piecing it together to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to take time. I'm not there yet, obviously, but I think with time and persistence and the right amount of work, it'll come.
A lot of people might compare you to C-Bum.
Yeah.
Chris Bumstead.
He's the man. Yeah.
What do you envision? Because you're going to meet him one day.
Yeah. That'd be
and
sick.
On stage with you, you take home the title.
Yeah.
He could be second.
You never know what'll happen. Like,
yeah.
I think he's the guy that everyone who competes looks up to in classic physique, obviously. He's the man.
He's a bit older than you.
Yeah, I think, what's he, like 27? I think.
Yeah, about that.
Which is still pretty young for a bodybuilder.
Yes.
But I think that's one of my biggest advantages, that I'm pretty young as well. So I've got time on my side to progress with it. So by the time I'm at his level, I'm not going to be so old that I'm going to have to sort of rush it. I've got time to do stuff at a healthy rate, make sure I'm growing without pushing the envelope health-wise. But he's the man. I think everyone who wants to compete and do well wants to be at his level one day. So that's 100% the goal. And the cool thing is that like people I look up to, I was thinking about the other day, a lot of the people that I look up to now who are like sort of idols of mine, it's not going to be long until I'm sort of standing next to them on stage. So people I look up to are sort of becoming like people I'm up against, which is a cool sort of feeling.
Yeah.
So it's motivating for sure.
It's about time we have someone for Australia.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think Australian bodybuilding is definitely growing. It's definitely becoming more popular and getting better and better. But I think as the time goes on, there's going to be more of us going over there. I had a mate of mine who went over and competed in classic over in Europe and stuff the last month or two. There's a few other guys that I've seen doing some European shows and stuff from Australia too. But only recently, I haven't seen it. It's only sort of fresh. So it's starting to pick up now, which is exciting. So I'd love to have like a big group like Australians that go and compete together and like make it a bit of like a team effort. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, now is like an exciting time to be amongst it because it's starting to pick up a lot, I think.
When you become Mr. Olympia in a couple of years, or could be even sooner.
You never know, yeah.
What kind of difference would you like to make to the world?
I think, well, something I found that I enjoy now is sort of, I guess, seeing the ways that I can help people by doing what I do. See, I almost selfishly go about doing what I'm doing for my own good to try and progress as much as I can. But the more, I guess, people see what I do, I find a lot of people come to me and say, hey, it motivated me to do this. You motivated me to do my first show. You motivated me just to get in the gym and lose some weight or something. Very basic stuff. And I'd never really, I guess, actively go out and tell people, hey, do this. But I think just by doing my thing, it's awesome to see that people take stuff away from it as well. So I'd like to sort of continue to do that, but on a higher scale, just doing what I'm doing. I guess helping educate people on what I do as well. And I think I'd like to teach and I guess show people what is like, what's doable just from, I guess, putting in work at something you enjoy. Like more the mental side of things, no matter if it's bodybuilding or if it's health related or if it's a sport or if it's like art or singing or some other talent. If you put the work into what you're doing with the right amount of passion and energy, you can achieve whatever you want. I think it's just good to sort of portray that in a physical manner of bodybuilding so people can see it and then apply that to whatever they do.
Would you like to be an ambassador for the sport?
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Do videos, share your message, inspire people around the world?
Definitely. I enjoy what I do, so it's very easy to promote it and I guess put content out about what I'm doing. Yeah. And I've been doing a little bit of it lately, which people seem to give me good feedback about, which is great. But yeah, I just enjoy what I'm doing, and the more I can document it and share it and then ideally help or even just motivate people a little bit, the better. And I think the more I progress with my career and everything, the more what I do is going to be seen as well. So it's just naturally going to get more, I guess, going to help more people as well. But yeah, my main thing is just I just want to continue doing what I enjoy and then allow people, if they want to take things away from it that can help them as well without forcing it upon anyone.
Where do you see you and Morgan in 3 years' time?
We've spoken about owning a gym. We'd love to open our own gym and run some sick gym somewhere. For now, though, our goals is purely just competing. I'd like to compete and do as well as I can professionally for at least until I'm maybe 30 years old or so. I think she's sort of in a similar sort of headspace as well. And then I think...
You must be so proud of Morgan.
100%. Very, very. Well, she's starting preps now for her next show, so I think she'll... Hopefully, I'm sure she'll probably win that show and then come over and we'll be able to do
the pro card.
I think she will this time around.
You two together, smash it.
We'll do it together. But competing's our goal for the next at least bunch of years. And then it'd be cool to have I'd like to own our own gym and then run any other sort of related businesses as well. Because I think once the competing side of things has passed, I think it's always good to have some other sort of project to work on. But I'd love it to be related to what I do. So, yeah.
When you open up that gym, I hope I can get a membership there.
We'll see. No, you'll get exclusive membership. But yeah, no, we definitely love to have a cool gym that's like, I love a gym that's semi-exclusive to people like clients like you or people that I relate with or friends, all that sort of stuff, without allowing mass numbers of people in the gym. I find like
something like Doherty's.
Yeah,
Gold.
There's some awesome gyms like Doherty's and all that sort of stuff, and some cool ones in the States. Obviously, some cool ones here as well. That seem to be very
not too franchised.
They're not doing it for money. Doing it more just to, I guess, have like a cool facility that you can get like-minded people into to do their thing and have a good atmosphere instead of just trying to make money out of it. Yeah. That's something we'd really like to do, and I think with success in competing and stuff as well, it'll sort of create a bit of more opportunity to help promote the gym, having I guess more like titles under our belt and a bigger name for ourselves as well. But yeah, that'd be something that'd be really fun as well. We'd love to travel as well. Obviously, traveling for shows, you get to travel around for all that sort of stuff for the shows, and then obviously experience other parts of the world within it. Yeah, that'd be fun. We'll be spoken about moving overseas and living in the States at some point as well. But yeah,
first time for you?
Yeah, I've never traveled overseas, so my first pro show is going to be my first overseas travel experience as well. So it's going to be big.
So excited for you, man.
We got a lot of stuff that we're looking forward to though, so it's very exciting.
We talk a lot about success. How about fears?
Yeah.
Surely, great man like you, there must be something that you're really scared of.
Yeah, I think probably my biggest fear is, I guess, not living up to my potential or not making the most of things I've had. And that's something that I sort of think about sometimes. Like, it's sort of a good motivator in some ways. But for me,
I feel that all the time.
Yeah,
not living up to potential.
Yeah, because like I think I've been lucky enough to have a pretty good upbringing. Like, I haven't had any, I guess, major events that people would sort of consider like, I guess, really negative. So I sort of want to make sure I'm using all the positive things I've had in my life to make the most of them. Because I'd hate the thought to look back in like 10 years time and be like, oh, I had all these opportunities and all this potential to do this stuff and not have made the most out of it. And I think that's one of my biggest motivations as to why I keep doing things. Even on days, everyone has their days where they don't feel as motivated. My biggest motivation is like, all right, I'm in a much better position than a lot of people, like people starving in the world. There's people homeless, there's people, whatever, all this stuff happen. I've got good situations, life situations and stuff compared to that. So I'd hate to not make the most of it and just look back one day and be like, oh shit, I could have been better. So that's, I think a big fear for me is that. Because the thought of regret is like, would not be not really too kind.
Someone could look at you and say, you've got it all worked out, Callum. That
No one does. Yeah.
no,
one does.
because you know you're one of the best in Australia. You go into the States. You and Morgan dominate the world. Like, what could go wrong? Like, you know.
Yeah, I think
Must be full of confidence. Yeah, like
it probably comes across that I've got it all together, and I think that in like my chosen avenue, so bodybuilding, competing, I feel I'm very confident in everything with that because I put so much into it. It's very easy to feel confident with what I'm doing, but obviously that's my favorite thing to talk about.
Yes.
But there's obviously other elements of life that like I guess aren't as exciting to talk about that you don't sort of see as well that some people would assume are as A-okay as the competing side of things was when they're not. And I'm not complaining. I think I don't have a bad life at all, but everyone's got struggles. Everyone's got little things they're trying to overcome. Everyone's got fears. Everyone's got like just the things they're working on. It's just very easy to think that people that have a good direction in what they're doing have it all together, but they don't have it all together. They just have some parts together. So it's just balancing it all out again.
when you were young, do you think you had a similar personality? You just seem to be really easygoing and love what you do, and not take things too seriously.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I do it because I enjoy it. Like I love what I do, and I guess it sort of shows. But I guess personality-wise, I've been relatively similar since growing up. But I was probably like self-confidence was a lot lower when I was younger. And I think that's what bodybuilding itself sort of taught me to bring out and like, I guess, gain more self-belief. So that's probably the one thing that's changed. But I think personality-wise, if you're doing what is aligned with yourself, don't have any reason to change really.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about your time when you were training to become an AFL player. What were you like back then?
Yeah, well, I started playing footy when I was like 7, I think, and I just got into it because my dad played when he was younger, and I loved it. Like that was like sort of my goal growing up. I was like, okay, I want to be a professional AFL player just because I enjoyed it, and I always sort of thought that if I can make a career out of what I enjoy, then that's what life's all about. So that was my goal.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brisbane, so up in Queensland, where AFL is not really super, super popular compared to down here in Victoria. But I played that growing up, and I think genetically...
Who did you follow?
I was a Brisbane fan, and then when the Gold Coast team opened, I started following the Gold Coast. And I haven't really followed it for
Did you grow up during the golden era of Brisbane?
I was probably like maybe 8 years old when they were winning, so I was, but I was sort of not old enough to fully like grasp how cool it was. Yeah, but like, what was that? It was like early 2000s, I think they were winning all the time, eh? I was probably just starting to get into it just after that. But Brisbane was cool. Gold Coast, followed them just because I always loved holidaying at the Gold Coast. But yeah, that was like my thing growing up. And then I think as time went on, I put more into it. I never like pursued it 100%. I think, again, probably like self-belief issues. But yeah, that was my thing growing up until I branched into the gym and got into bodybuilding.
Yeah. Is there such a thing between the twitch fibers, muscles? Like some people are short twitch or...
Yeah, I think genetically different people, different like with your whatever your genetics are, whatever like your race is sometimes as well. Like you'll have a different build up of like more fast twitch muscle fiber, which is people who are genetically like better at like sprinting and short bursts of energy. Yeah. And then people that have like more slow twitch muscle fiber are generically people who are like, I guess, long distance runners or endurance athletes, just from a base standpoint.
What's ideal for footy players?
I'd say probably a combo of both really. Like if you're going to be good at, I guess, explosive, fast, agile movements, you want to be like obviously having more fast twitch muscle fiber, but you're also doing a lot of running. So you're doing a lot of like endurance work as well. I sort of probably had more of like a explosive athletic sort of build where I was fast on my feet. I was agile. I could like jump well and I was like pretty athletic. Yeah. But endurance wise wasn't like the best. But I think bringing that sort of athletic style of activity into the gym, it sort of goes hand in hand. So you sort of developed a bit of a base to start building muscle upon.
Were you one of the quickest? Yeah,
I was quick. I remember not like ridiculously quick because again, I didn't really focus on athletic running technique, but I remember back in school, I'd always be the quickest kid in the grade. I'd win like the 100 meter sprints and 200 meter sprints and stuff, which was fun, but I never really got into like deep athletics. I didn't really care about that much, but on the footy field, it worked perfectly. I'd always sort of play like a wing position or a halfback position or a center position where your speed and your running ability is like what you sort of rely on. Yeah. So for me, that worked. So I think that got me I sort of got selected into a few regional teams and stuff and did well with that. But I think I never made it to like a high level, just because I guess, I probably wasn't at the point where I believed in myself enough to put in the work to get there.
If someone asked you when you were 15, what would have been the dream for Callum?
15 would have been being a professional athlete. And at the time, I wanted to be a professional footy player. Huh. And that's what I wanted to do. Which
position?
I was at that, different ages, I was different positions. I think at that age, I was probably I played a lot of wing and halfback flank, which were, again, like normally like quick, agile sort of guys.
Yeah.
But that age, all I wanted to be was a professional footy player. That's all I really cared about.
What kind of player, say Brisbane Lions, that you would have modelled?
Yeah. Off? Oh, man, my favourite player, it's who did I used to like? I remember when the Gold Coast Suns first started, I was a big fan of Gary Ablett, obviously, because he was like Legend. Their best player on the team. He was, I guess, a similar style player as I was. I was obviously nowhere near as good, but like, I guess more of like a fast sort of running position I was sort of similar to.
At what point did it switch for you from footy to bodybuilding?
Yeah, so I got, I remember spending a bunch of time the year just after I finished high school in the gym. And I got pretty like into it pretty quick. I remember doing a bunch of research, watching a bunch of YouTube videos and learning about it and making sure I was doing everything right. And then I made some good progress. And then in the off season of the
How old were you when you first went to the gym?
I first signed up at, I think, 16. I started getting a bit more into it at 17. And then 18 is when I started being like really consistent with it. But that was in the phased off season of the footy season. And I sort of spent that period just doing nothing but the gym.
How long's the off season in footy?
It's normally like from September-ish to about February, March. Okay. So I spent that, what's that, like 5 months or so?
Something like that, yeah.
I spent that time in the gym and I remember growing heaps. And then it came time for the next like sort of summer training for footy to start. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go back. I'm just enjoying the gym. And then that's when I decided, all right, the gym is my new thing now. I enjoy this more than I used to enjoy footy. And then that's when it just took off and I made more and more progress, learnt more, developed my knowledge, developed physique stuff, and obviously, and it sort of just kept going and took off from there.
You've heard of this before where young people are sometimes not encouraged to lift heavy too early because that might stunt their development or their growth. What do you think about that?
I think from what I know, I think that has sort of been like proven wrong from what I've heard. I think that's sort of a bit of a myth nowadays. I think younger kids, you never want to get them doing stupid amounts of heavy load for safety reasons because you're not going to be super strong and like stable through your joints when you're young. But I think basic resistance training in a safe way for young kids is not going to hurt.
Healthy.
As long as you're not overdoing it, not overtraining, not wearing down joints, your technique's fine. I think doing lighter basic movements just to build up a bit of base strength is beneficial.
Yeah. I would assume that when you hit the gym at 16, you probably went heavy very early on.
I went heavy, but at the same time, I was very lucky that I think I went through a phase of really studying bodybuilding and lifting and stuff early on because I was really into it from an early.
How did you study?
Just like YouTube videos and online and Googling stuff. So it wasn't like really like deep knowledge, but it was enough to educate me.
And you liked your bodybuilding.com?
That was where I started, yeah. I got a bunch of programs off that. And they used to do a lot of YouTube videos, so they sort of gave me a lot of base knowledge. And I think I was lucky enough to find a lot of that stuff when I was really new to it because I sort of learnt the principles of execution of exercises always beats going stupidly heavy and not almost.
You were really self-taught then, initially?
Yeah, obviously I learnt a lot from a lot of people along the way, but I did, I guess, build the foundation of my knowledge just through my own research.
Yeah.
At like the age like 18. Which I think a lot of people have access to now, being sort of pretty like available through social media and stuff. But I think around that, what was that, 2016, 2015? It wasn't quite as popular. So I think I was just lucky I got into the right sources and learnt like the basic stuff so I didn't injure myself. And then obviously I could build my knowledge upon that.
Any major injuries?
Nah, luckily. No, I've had little injuries when I was playing footy back in the day. I remember I mildly sort of tore my hip flexor and stuff, little broken bone every
But no injuries from bodybuilding?
Nah, luckily no.
In 7 years?
Yeah, no injuries.
Years.
I've had mild shoulder impingements, which most sort of bodybuilders get just from, I guess, overuse and a bit of like tension through the shoulder.
Yeah.
But it's something that I sort of tackled before it became an issue. But again...
You've heard of stories where people tear off their bicep.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I think that's sort of it sort of scared me to like learn more and take it safe. But I don't remember where I heard it, but I remember hearing, and it sort of, I guess, made a lot of sense to me early on that I guess slower, more controlled movements in the gym are going to result in more direct tension on the muscle and obviously be less stressful on joints and risk less injury. I remember hearing that early on. If I didn't hear that early on, I probably would have done a lot of stupid stuff like most people do and got injuries. So it's lucky that stuck with me.
You don't tell me that, but when you train me, you definitely make me go slower and kill me.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you're like, I don't know what I'm doing this for, but it works. But yeah, it's exactly. If we slow stuff down, if you're doing stuff with certain tempo techniques and like, I guess, added intensifiers and stuff to sets that make it harder than it needs, well, harder than it would be at a lighter weight, just doing straight sets, it's like safer in a way. And you're, isolating areas you want to hit more specifically too.
You touched upon social media before. In the younger generation now, you're exposed to so much stuff. Yeah. So many great, amazing physiques. Were you exposed to that when you were starting up?
I think over the last bunch of years, like bodybuilding and like I guess just fitness in general in the gyms is like just expanded because of social media. But I think I sort of got into the gym around the time that it was popular enough to be pretty well seen.
Right.
And I remember there was a bunch of people I sort of would look up to and I'd be like, oh, I want to learn from this guy. I want to look like this. And then, so I think I learned a lot of basic stuff again, just from like Instagram with like just early days of just basic knowledge. But yeah, I remember seeing physiques I wanted to look like. And then as the years sort of went on,
because it's making people start younger and younger now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, younger people are getting into social media and stuff now. And I think for me to take bodybuilding and the gym in general seriously at like 17, 18, I think that was sort of rare. I don't think many people my age took it fully seriously then. But I think now it's a lot more popular because you see like TikTok videos going off and Instagram videos and people like have more to like look up to, I think.
But your motivation when you started was completely different.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't really do it because it made you like popular, made you made you liked.
When I first started, it was like, I just it'd be cool to build a bit of muscle, build my arms up, build my chest up.
And you were good at it.
And then, I guess I was good at it because I enjoyed it. And because I enjoyed it, I put more effort into it. And I guess the more effort you put into stuff, the more you get out of it. But I remember I would look up to just certain people on Instagram, be like, I'd like to look like that. And then as time went on, it was more of a competitive thing. I was like, okay, bodybuilding is a sport that I can do. Maybe I can take this and be competitive with that instead of worrying about what I look like, do it more of like a competition to try and like progress and win certain things. So it always just evolves.
Yeah. It makes me think of someone else who has made a career in footy, Majak Dor.
Man, yeah.
He used to play for North Melbourne and then retired at the Demons.
Yeah.
As a teenager, he kind of fell into footy with friends. His friends told him to go to a training session and then footy just was the perfect fit for him and he could really flourish in that environment. And it's so rare that as a person, we have a passion, what we're naturally talented at, and whether we can actually make a difference, a contribution, those three things, to find that sweet spot, all three things to align. And you have definitely found that in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
For so many of us, we're still searching. We
rare,
may not actually love what we do. Can you tell us about that feeling?
It's awesome. Yeah. I'm grateful for it all the time because like I was just thinking about it yesterday. I remember I was just at home. I think I was just on my own, just cooking meals. And I was thinking like, man, I'm really grateful for what I do because I just really enjoy it. But the mixture of enjoying what you do and then I guess having some sort of genetic sort of advantage that favors what you do as well is awesome. And then obviously, being in a place where you can pursue it without any limitations is great. So it's rare to be able to find something that works so well, but I'm like, I'm grateful all the time that I've found what aligns with me well and the fact that I enjoy it.
Before we close, is there one thing that you want to share with the audience from your heart?
Like we spoke before about, I guess, what message I sort of want to portray to people. I think the most important thing to take away from like us talking about my like bodybuilding career or from probably, I guess, what you're speaking about with most people you have on the podcast as well that have their own little avenues. I think the most important thing in life all around is to have like your thing. If you can find something that you can put all your energy into, I think that's like the most important thing. It can be bodybuilding like I do. It can be a sport. It can be something random. It can be like drawing. It can be singing. It can be whatever. I think if you can find your one thing and put everything into it, it like creates extra energy, creates extra motivation. You're going to develop as a person mentally and physically from it. So I think the most important thing is have like something to work on. Always have something to work on. Be passionate about it. Something that makes you happy
thing that you
and
love.
enjoy it. And if you've got something you can progress with, I feel that's going to cause progress like internally as well, which is probably the most important thing. So yeah, find your thing and do it.
How do you find that when you've tried many things and you still haven't really?
That's the hard thing. I think you just got to keep trying, which is it's easier said than done. But yeah, it's hard because a lot of people say, oh, I want to have something to put my energy into and I don't have it. And it's sort of something that you have to figure out on your own. It's sort of hard to tell people, oh, okay, you can go do this then.
Yes.
You're never going to know, but just be outgoing and being open to things, willing to take things in and just give things a crack and go have a try at it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Try something else. But don't just give up. Just find something, put everything into it, enjoy it. And I think that's the whole meaning of being alive, really.
From my heart, I want to thank you so much.
Easy.
Just to know you and let alone to be able to train with you. To see you thrive and so dedicated in what you do and love what you do, it makes me want to be a better version of myself. And it makes me think, oh, I may not be so disciplined in what I say I want to do. And yeah, it just gives me that extra motivation. And to know that, oh, like you're so easygoing and you connect with everyone, that like, oh, like someone like you just go about your business and you're flourishing. You're doing so well. And I just want to thank you for inspiring me. I'm sure the listeners listening to you are very pleasantly surprised by your message. And yeah, I'm really grateful that you're here.
Yeah, I'm grateful you can take stuff away from me just doing my thing. If people can take stuff away from me doing what I enjoy, it's awesome. So I can't complain.
Thanks so much, Callum.
Thanks for having me on. Good fun.
Perhaps till next time.
Next time after the shows.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be down for
after
that.
You take home the title.
I'll bring the trophies and everything in.
Yeah.
I love it. Sounds good.
Cheers, mate.
Done.